slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever...
Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today I got a question from one of my subscribers who asked me if running a marathon on a treadmill, do I think running a marathon on a treadmill is a good idea? I think it's a good idea in terms of just trying to mix up your training if you want to be a little bit more innovative in what you're doing, and you don't want to run a marathon on the roads. Maybe it's like a time trial, like you want to do an all-out effort for the 26.2 mile, 42.2 kilometers on a treadmill. I think there's some things that you're going to run into. If I were doing this, I've never run a full 26.2 miles on a treadmill before. I think the longest long run I've done on a treadmill is around 20 to 21 miles. But I think it could be a unique way for you as an athlete to either minimize the stress of having to jump on a jet, get on a jet and fly somewhere to compete in a marathon, and just to see what you can do for that distance over the marathon distance. I think there are some things that you need to keep in mind in terms of being bored. Maybe to try to combat that, I think wearing some headphones or having some music playing in your room or in your garage, wherever you have your treadmill, I think that's definitely something you should consider. Like I said, I've never really went for an all-out marathon on a treadmill, but I think there are a lot of athletes out there who think running on a marathon on a treadmill is a good idea. I don't see why you shouldn't. I think, again, you have to minimize the likelihood that you're going to get injured. So make sure that you're doing the proper training. Say you're maybe you want to break the 4-hour marathon barrier. Okay, you have to hold 5:41 per kilometer on the treadmill, or running at 9:09 per mile pace on the treadmill. So what is nice about running on a treadmill is that you can set that particular goal marathon race pace that you're aiming for and just sit on that pace. Okay, indoors, we're not going to have, as you all know, you're not going to have any wind resistance running on a treadmill. So they do say if you're running around 1% incline on a treadmill, you're basically running the equivalent of running outdoors on the roads. So and on top of obviously dealing with wind, dealing with undulations, different terrain, things like that. But running a marathon on a treadmill, have I ever done it? No, I have not. I have considered doing it because, again, I have come close to running the distance that far on a treadmill, and I have done a lot of very hard long runs on the treadmill over the years. I remember doing a 10-mile time trial in 51:25 on the treadmill. I've done several 20-milers under 6-minute mile pace on the treadmill. Again, it's just to mix up the training, to get beyond just running outdoors all of the time. There's certainly nothing necessarily wrong with running on a treadmill. There's nothing better than preparing for a marathon race outdoors versus preparing for an all-out effort for the marathon distance on a treadmill. Again, it just depends on the athlete. It depends on what you are seeking to get out of running that particular distance on a treadmill. Yeah, you're definitely going to deal with a lot of boredom because, again, at least with running a marathon outdoors, you have the competitors, you have the atmosphere, the environment that's going to propel you and get you motivated to run a marathon in a particular race. You have all that excitement, the sounds, the crowds, all that. Versus running a marathon on a treadmill where there's no wind resistance, there's no crowds, but again, if you have the motivation and you want to just get outside of your comfort zone and say, hey, you know what? F it, I'm going to go, I want to run a marathon all out, try to run 26.2 miles or 42.2 kilometers on the treadmill and go as hard as I can, see what I can run a marathon on the treadmill. there's athletes out there that set world records on the treadmill. They go out there and try to run as fast as they can for this particular distance. And again, I just think it just depends on what your particular goals are. If you want to get beyond just running a marathon outdoors and you want to try it on a treadmill just to mix things up, I don't see why that would be an issue. I just think that, one, you just want to make sure first you're wearing the proper shoes. You want to minimize the likelihood of you getting injured, because again, nothing is worth running through an injury to the point where you're out for several weeks or several months because you just couldn't have just slowed down or at least given yourself some time off to make sure that you didn't get injured. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to run a marathon on a treadmill, or you're going to run a marathon outdoors in some other race, make sure that you're laying that foundation of aerobic fitness first before you jump into doing marathon specific workouts. Okay, and think of a longer build up. If you're going to run a marathon on a treadmill, give yourself between 4 to 6 months in order to do that. Don't rush the process. Don't even think about trying to run 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers on a treadmill if you haven't first put in the heavy work. Okay, the marathon, just like any other race, if you train for an 800, you're training for a 3,000, you have to be in both great aerobic shape as well as anaerobic shape to make sure that you do it right. There's no sense in doing it if you're not going to do it right. Okay, so running on a marathon on a treadmill, I think, is a great idea if you want to mix up your training philosophy and your mindset and say, hey, you know what, I want to just do this. I want to see what I can do. Give it a shot. Maybe running a marathon on a treadmill will give you a good indication of what you can do outdoors. Okay, again, bringing up the idea of running on an incline. If you're running at 0% incline on a treadmill, you're really not quite equaling running outdoors. Okay, because again, you want to at least challenge yourself to run around that 1% incline as you're running on a treadmill, so that again you can get a better indication of what pace you can hold over this particular marathon distance on a treadmill. Okay, you don't want to skimp on this. You don't want to, you want to make sure that you're doing everything properly. Okay, make sure you have the proper fluid and you're intaking enough. Take some gels. I think this is running a marathon on a treadmill is a good idea in the fact that at least with running on a treadmill, you can make sure that you're practicing drinking rather than just sipping. You can practice ingesting some gels, okay, just like you would be outdoors. Again, nothing beats preparing for a marathon outdoors. Okay, I'm not saying that running a marathon on a treadmill is the best idea. Okay, I think this is an idea for somebody that just says, I really want to do something out there, something different, something not the norm. Okay, we all hear about athletes that are preparing for marathons and racing marathons outdoors, but running one on a treadmill, that's a different type of mindset. That's for somebody that really is looking for something totally out of the norm, wants to get outside of their comfort zone, and wants to try something different. But that's my viewpoint and asking me, have I ever ran a marathon on a treadmill, and do I think running a marathon on a treadmill is a good idea? Again, if you want to be a little bit more innovative, a little bit more thinking outside the box, and you want to just try something different, yeah, I would say why not give it a shot. You can say, hey, I've run a marathon outdoors, run this particular time, but I've also run a marathon on a treadmill, and I've run this particular time. But again, don't skimp on it. If you're gonna aim for running a marathon on a treadmill and you want to try to set a new personal best, make sure that you're running at least an incline. Okay, don't run 0% incline the entire way. Okay, so that's my advice for all of you, and that's my answer from that question of have I ever run a marathon on a treadmill? And hopefully this is beneficial for you. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you ever have run a marathon on a treadmill or ever thought about doing it. I'd love to hear what you all have to say about this particular topic. So thanks so much for your support. Thanks for watching my videos. Please like and share these videos. I really appreciate that. It helps a lot of other runners around the world to see these videos, and also, of course, helps with the YouTube algorithm. So Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.